Hello, Dad here. Out I'm on a little stroll, and it's Sunday. I believe it's the 24th of March. I have to look at the calendar to know for sure. But I'm out and about. There's a whole lot of things that I would just love to talk about and to I wouldn't say mock, but to discuss that are going on in the news in the world. But I'm not going to. I have something that was kind of interesting. I woke up this morning thinking about an event that happened on Friday at work. And a lot of people at the park today. And at work, there was this past week, there was a woman who I've known for a long time, probably close to 16 years, that she's appointed to be a supervisor. And we wound up having to work quite late, and automatically, towards the latter part of the evening, I was leaving and she had to stay. I asked her if she needed any extra food or snacks in order to stay healthy. And I didn't ask that, I just asked her if she wanted some food or snacks. And she said yes, and she was grateful. And of course, some of the other guys, good-natured ribbing, not accusing me, but making light of that event, saying, "Oh, you're such a brown noser," and whatever. I can deal with that. I didn't really think too much of it, because I've known this woman for years. And I thought I had put it out of my mind. To me, it was not a traumatic event. It was not a dramatic event. It was just something that happened, it just was. So this morning, I woke up thinking not about that event specifically, but about the motives of what led me to do that, other than being just a nice guy. But I'm willing to acknowledge that part of it has to deal with culture, not current American culture, because we've lost in large measure, at least according to the media and those who are peddlers of popular opinion, the idea of chivalry. And what I was thinking this morning was that event was born primarily out of the respect and the concern that I feel that all men, particularly those that are Western European Christian tradition, have about honoring women as the life bearers and those who help provide for the future of the species. One of the things that I think is so interesting, or sad, if you will, is the silly modern construct that men and women are identical. We've somehow convoluted equality under the law with sameness. And having 7 kids, between, my wife and I have 7 kids, a bunch of girls and a couple of boys, that I cannot understand how anybody that has half of a brainstem, I'm going to sit down here and chit chat for a second, can think that men and women are the same. Like I say, equal, yes. We have the same opportunities for growth and development. We have the same equality under the law, which was long in coming, which I'm grateful for. And understanding that my kids all have different personalities, different desires and goals and attitudes. The boys and the girls, most of them are adults now, have different ways of viewing life. And it doesn't matter whether they're male or female. Some are more career oriented, some are more family oriented, and some are trying to establish the balance. So anyway, back to this, the thought I had this morning, the desire of men to care for and to protect and provide for women is almost transcends culture and is almost as innate as the male desire to ensure genetic diversity in the world. Although that needs to be tempered so we don't run into criminal behavior. And I think that's one of the reasons why I believe that it's not a good idea to have women in certain roles or capacities in the military. And I say this having this woman that I was talking about earlier. She was a female Marine. She can hold her own. And I've worked with female deputies that were just phenomenally wonderful at their job. But certain roles that are more specific towards the military, I just don't feel that it's good for the mission because of the innate automatic desire of men to protect and to watch over and to watch out for the welfare of those who could be life bearers and help bring life into this world as mothers, if they're not mothers, then as nurturers and caretakers. And in order to accomplish certain missions in the military, yes, you want to make sure that the team is successful and the team is cohesive and completes the job. But it's a different kind of thought process than is associated with making sure the team is successful and making sure that the woman is protected. I think it's too much of a distraction, and the mind. I'm going to get some blowback for this, but I don't care. Just as well, it's like when Justice Kavanaugh was going through his hearings, you had this stupidity going around about, oh, believe women. To me, that's just as inane as saying believe men. No, you believe truth. You believe what the facts are, not just ribald accusations. But anyway, I really think that was an interesting realization on my part, that is one of the reasons that a lot of men have gone on to do great and terrible things because of the things they want to do for their woman or their women, depending on the culture you're in. And that's not to diminish at all from the great things that people like Madame Curie have done, and other women that have done fantastic things. Margaret Thatcher. I think she was a tremendous prime minister, probably the best that Britain has had. And I'm going to get, again, somebody's going to disagree with that, since Winston Churchill. So I'm not opposed to women having positions of power. What I'm opposed to is anybody misusing and abusing the power that they have. And again, that goes on, thinking about something, or made me think about something that I was reading yesterday in the New Testament. When John the Baptist was beheaded. He was in prison, had been imprisoned by Herod, and Herodias, I guess he was his wife. He was Philip's wife. Then somehow, somebody that knows more of a Bible scholar than I am can tell me, or maybe if I'm not lazy, I could do the research to find out what the relationship was between Philip and Herodias and Herod. I know there was some family shenanigans going on there. But Herod had kind of a grudging acceptance to John the Baptist. Herodias, however, just couldn't stand him because he was saying it wasn't lawful for Herod to have, was it his brother's wife as his current wife? And so she had her evil face on, wanted him killed. Herod didn't want to do that until finally his stepdaughter, was pretty excited by or actually had done a dance, and Herod got all happy and said, "Yeah, whatever you want, I'll do." And so the stepdaughter went to mommy and said, "What should I do?" She said, kill John the Baptist, bring me his head. So unfortunately, in the culture that Herod was in, life, especially non-Roman life, was cheap. And for the sake of pride, because there were a lot of people that heard him make this promise, instead of saying, you know what, maybe I spoke a little rashly, he went ahead and killed John the Baptist. And then Jesus went off to mourn and fed the 5,000 people. But so anyway, that's just a roundabout way of one example, or I could use Lucretia Borgia, I guess, and others of, this whole believe women thing is just goofy. Like I say, it's just as goofy as saying you have to believe men just because they're men. So anyway, that's Dad's thoughts for today. There are differences between men and women, and I'm not just talking about external genitalia or secondary sexual characteristics. They're innate, and we should celebrate and support these differences. And I think that's why the fourth wave feminists have got it all wrong. The early feminists wanted legal parity, and they wanted the sanctity of homes and families to be preserved. And over the last 100 years or so, again, these movements have been co-opted by the leftists and made into things that essentially seek to destroy families, and they seek to destroy freedom of choice. Essentially, if you're a man that happens to be gentle and artistic, then you're marginalized by the goofball males somehow being effeminate. And if you're a woman that happens to be more outgoing and athletic, you're marginalized, and ipso facto you must be a lesbian, which is just dumb. There's all kinds of people, and we need to celebrate the innate differences that exist and allow men to be men and women to be women. And one of the saddest things I've seen is for those women who choose to be moms and to be homemakers. They're chided, they're criticized, they're ostracized. I think, for making a choice that I think is probably the most difficult, the most taxing, the most challenging career in the universe, that of being a mother and a homemaker, to provide a real safe place where kids can grow and develop and become the individuals that they were meant to be. Because we all come down here with different gifts, talents, callings, if you will. And I think we need to support that more. And if you're a woman or that happens to enjoy a career, that's fine. If I am not gifted artistically or musically, I have friends that are, and they're just as artistic, just as male, and just as Even a friend it's a hairdresser. You know, and what it is about the hyper masculinity that I think is just as bad, which I think is probably a reaction to the feminization of men and the war on boys that goes on in the public schools and in society in general. Anyway, that's topics for a different day. I guess the short, I thought this was going to be very short rambling, but it turned out to be a little bit longer rambling than I planned on. But men, take care of the women. Women, take care of the men. And we'll all get along. All right. Thank you for spending time with Dad, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.